Welcome back, fellow gamers. So today I wanted to talk to you about, or not talk to you, but I wanted to give you my pointers on how to be a good moderator in the game Werewolf. Now, if you haven't seen it, I did post a video about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks, detailing how I thought Werewolves was one of the best party games that you could possibly play. Well, I still think it is. 2 weeks has not changed my opinion. But one thing that can derail a game quickly in Werewolves is having a moderator who isn't up to snuff or inexperienced at running a game. Games go great when you have a great moderator, and they are especially great when you have a great group that's all working together to have a great experience. Now, games of Werewolf can take, 10-15 minutes if you don't have an overly large group. And when you have an even larger group of people, and I'd say above 10, that's where a really good moderator does come into effect, because it's keeping the people who aren't in play satisfied that they'll want to keep playing once the game starts back up again. Because nobody likes being out first and waiting around for 20 minutes. So here are my tips on how to be an even better Werewolf moderator. First one is keep it quick. Now that can mean, move from round to round quickly. It could be getting to the votes quickly. It could also be making sure the werewolves aren't dilly-dallying and choosing their next victim. Well, all of the above are of equal importance in making sure that the game is moving along smoothly. So that means that if the werewolves start taking a long time, you have to tell them that, hey, let's go, we got a game to play. And if they can't decide, well, they're gonna have to decide. It also stems from the witch, and if she's using her potions effectively. If she's used both her potions, there's no reason to keep going with the facade of choosing, say, having her open her eyes, waiting 5-10 seconds, and having her close her eyes again. Once the potions have been used, people can deduce that they've already been used, so it's kind of a needless step to go through, and making the game last longer each round by 10-15 seconds. It does add up. Also, in the voting round, making sure that people, when they've had their say, to start moving along and getting the votes in, and not prolonging somebody's lynch. Now, the second one involves lynching. It's when somebody dies, they're dead. You don't want to hear from them anymore. It's making sure that they are dead and they're not influencing the game. There's no greater buzzkill than having somebody die, and then the very next round, as the werewolf opens their eyes, have that guy go, "Oh, I knew it! I knew it was you!" Kind of, cat's out of the bag. Make sure it's stressed. You can't stress enough that people, once they're dead, they can't talk. And if they start talking, and I found it's usually the case with older relatives or that oddball of the group that likes to be part of the conversation, they're the ones who tend to be the most vocal post-death. So reminding people that they can't talk, because nobody wants to be called out and be like, "Hey, Bill, you can't talk. I said you can't talk." That doesn't create a fun game environment, right? What does create a fun game environment is just reminding people at the start of the game, at the end of a round, especially the first one out. The first one out generally won't say anything, just because they don't have that many people to converse with, right? But once you start getting a group of people, and then after that, reminding them again. If you have 3 people out, remind them. If they're talking about non-game stuff, that's completely fine. People don't have to be a statue, but nothing game-wise should be talked about when you're dead. The next thing, or the next tip I do is I don't like to give, when I'm moderator, my play group any hints. I don't want to be the factor on why somebody gets killed and ousted from the game. So there are a few things that you can do to help that situation out. When you're talking to the werewolves, talk directionally. You like this head action, don't you? So no, it's about, if I'm talking to you and you're the werewolf, people can surmise that I'm talking to the werewolf. So it means that I'm talking to the werewolf, but you're really there. So now there's some confusion about where the werewolf really is. It's also about walking around the room and not always staying next to the same person, and making sure that whatever noise you're making is just part of you doing your due diligence as moderator. Now, this is also especially important during the witch round when you're talking directly to one person, and making sure that you're talking and you're pointing. It's always a good idea to give yourself some good room presence. And don't be afraid to actually go up to a person that's been killed and like point down just to make sure that you've had it, but then walk around again, and so it's not too obvious who you're pointing out, because there are clues that can be surmised. And I think that's also kind of an important sub-tip, is that if you're unsure of something, don't be afraid to have, let's say if the werewolves are voting, have the werewolves open their eyes again and just say, werewolves, please reopen your eyes, and then reconfirm the person. And then after that, once it's confirmed, you're good to go. Because sometimes it is a bit hard. I've had people that have tried to pick out people just by moving their eyes. They're like, and it's kind of like, that's like next level gaming where you don't want to make an absolute move to give away your position. So the final tip is during the voting round, and this is a crucial time because this is where you can lose a game very easily in terms of actually the crowd and having people kind of run amok. So give everybody their say. If they have things to say, great. If not, if you see the room's kind of dead, nobody's really talking, start right to voting. And if people then decide to have a conversation time is over. And you make that clear. You ask them to choose, and if they kind of press for more, at that point you really got to stop. You got to go to the next person. Now what's going to happen here is you might encounter a bit of resistance from the person that you're kind of skipping over, but what's going to happen is that the rest of the group is going to appreciate it, the fact that you're moving on with the game. And if that person has a problem with it, generally from my experiences, the play groups do rally around the moderator, because after all, as moderator, you're giving up your play time to moderate their game. And I love moderating. It's fun to see how people play, and to get a 360 view of everything is phenomenal, but you're still giving up the opportunity of being part of either the werewolf clan or the lynch mob. So making sure that round goes by quickly by making people vote and encouraging people to discuss, by speeding up the actual voting period, people are more inclined to start discussions quickly. A great tip that I like to use, though, to make sure that people are on point and that they're not wasting their time accusing people that are already eliminated, is you have at the start of the voting round, you have everybody lift their hand if you're still alive. If you're still alive, you lift your hand or raise your hand, whichever way you want to use it, and that gives everybody in the group a good idea of who's left. Those are my tips for being a better moderator. I'm not saying that those are the only tips or that these are the foolproof tips. There probably are ways of speeding up the game even more. For me, as moderator, my goal of moderating is to get the games running smoothly and that everybody's having fun, but more importantly, to get the games to a conclusion quickly so the people that were eliminated first can get back into the fun. Nobody wants to be waiting 20, 25 minutes for a game to be over so that they can jump back in and then be eliminated first, right? It just makes it so that the games are not as fun for those people that are eliminated first. And I guess to touch on the one thing that I do, not really a tip because it's a game mechanic that I kind of added, but it's that no person can be voted out first two games in a row. So it gives people a chance to play the game. So there you have it. I would love to know what your tips are on Werewolves and how you play it and what moderator tricks. Hopefully you're not tripping on your moderator. But what moderator tricks do you have to help smooth out the game and get it along and have people, the goal, have people play Werewolves. It's such a fun game. I'd love to hear it. Leave it in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Now don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. If you'd like to see more, click on one of the two videos that are there, or click on show more in the description below to see when and what we upload, as well as when we stream. And if you need an update on what exactly we're going to be streaming that week, don't be shy to hit us up in the comments or reach out to us on Twitter. We'll be more than happy to chat. Until next time, good gaming.